Renunciation to riches, the Jain merchant legacy in Bharat's economic and cultural tapestry is the topic. Sunil Kumar ji, आइए. A versatile and multifaceted personality, Sunil Kumar ji is a postgraduate from the University of Westminster, London. In creative terms, his achievement spans many fields. His book, Existential Angst, Jaiko 1999, an anthology of poetry, is catalogued in the British Council Sussex, the US South Asian Literature List, and is available on Amazon. Critics have praised it as a philosophical and thought-provoking. He has also authored Surreal City, a work of fiction and a poignant tale spanning generations that takes readers on a journey through time and space. The noted poet Nissim Ezekiel made him a member of the PEN India chapter. Sunil has written research papers for the world's leading body in engineering and computer science. He has recently presented in the Indica Vaishnavism conference on the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition as well as the BHU. His startup, Agleya Interactive, has been a recipient of several positions, awards, including the Microsoft Bisparck Award for Technology, AC Nielsen Top 10 and World Marketing Congress Awards for Digital Marketing. Liberal agnosticism and curiosity is Sunil's mantra in life. He feels a deep connection to his cultural roots, and his true passion lies in the study of the limited ocean of Indic traditions. Sunil ji will now present his paper on From Renunciation to Riches, the Jain Merchant Legacy in Bharat's Economic and Cultural Tapestry.
Thank you, sir, and good evening to all. So, first, Namo Panch Parmeshti, Jai Janendra, and Hare Krishna. So the topic I have chosen is From Renunciation to Riches, the Jain Merchant Legacy in the Evolution of Bharat's Economic and Cultural Tapestry. So at the outset, I would start off with Michami Dukaram, so Shama for any advertent errors in my understanding. Basically, I've been raised in the Vedic tradition, so this is my humble attempt to understand Jainism and the Jain merchant legacy. So, so this is the way my presentation is going to flow. Basically, at the outset, I'll talk about a brief history of Jain merchants, and secondly, beyond profit, the mercantile ethos. So what is this essentially means is many scholars have wondered how such an ascetic, introspective tradition gave rise to so successful merchant community. As in the morning, Muniji was enlightening us about the monetary contribution of the Jains to the Indian economy. And I would hypothesize that it stems from Jain ethics. Everybody is aware of ahimsa, and the Jain understanding of karma is self-driven and similar to other Sanatan traditions, but slightly different. Then I will talk about the famed principle of Anekantavad and apply it to the dharmic capitalism model. We are all familiar with modern capitalism, and which owes its genesis to the Industrial Revolution. Adam Smith, then John Stuart Mill. We'll talk about Milton Friedman, Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, and Fabian socialism, which our first Prime Minister was very enamored of. And next I will talk about integrating tradition with modernity. Then I will move on to how the current capitalism model, which is based on self-interest, to collective ethics. Dr. Priyadarshana Jain had given us a very insightful insight into the Jain view of life. Then, in practical terms, I'm going to talk about how we can bridge Western and Jain economics, integrating Anikavantavad and limitations and conclusion. So, first of all, as Surabhi ji was telling us about the great Acharya Mahaprajna, who famous Hindi Rashtrakavi Ram Dhari Singh Dinkar ji has praised him as the new Vivekananda. And I would like to compare him with Aurobindo Ackroyd Ghosh or Sri Aurobindo, whose father so despised Indian culture that he sent him away to England. Still, his revelations in Alipur jail, his visions of Bhagwan Sri Krishna led him to become one of the most intriguing, insightful thinkers in Indian tradition. So basically, what Acharya Mahaprajna ji, Shwetambar Terampati had said, that in any system of life, man's self remains indivisible. Once boosted ego is the seed of all evils. And so the materialistic system does not purify the self, it only suppresses it. Whereas, if you take Aurobindo's philosophy, the over self and the supermind, he is also, in a sense, talking about collective ethics. So, as Vipul Kocharji said, asked a question which was very intriguing. I think it is a combination of both. When an individual sets out on his search, he, after enlightenment, he's probably, there is some larger societal goal in his mind. So that is my take on it. Then I quickly move on to ethos, history and growth. We have accounts of the 13th century Kachi merchant, Jagadu Shah, who is famed for, as in helping people out in famines, constructing Hindu temples, mosques, etc. So he exemplifies in some ways the ideal Jain merchant, who is morality driven because of the profound Jain metaphysical system and way of thought, which I think in ancient times people used to follow more diligently. So morality driven, purification of the self, and absence of creator deity places the onus on yourself. As Osho Rajneesh, also being a Jain, was compared Mahavir's views with the Vedic view. So, in my understanding, he gave a profound analogy, like if the Ganga flows from Gangotri to Ganga Sagar, Vardhaman Mahavir actually wanted to go to the source. His task was much more difficult than, say, the general Indic understanding of surrender or prapati. So that is his subjective opinion. But I think that helped in, say, the merchant community. So evidence of Jain merchants is from Mauryan times, in the Gupta period, the Western satraps, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. We have accounts of Mahavira's father's friend was the king of Kalinga. Khadavela came many centuries later. So Mahavira is supposed to have preached even in the Kalinga region, which is modern day Odisha and some parts of northern Andhra Pradesh. So we have two ways in which the Jain Sampradaya Dharma spread throughout India, the western coast also and the east also. So yeah, moving on, I quickly move on to medieval times, where multiple medieval European sources have mentioned the Jains, their trading companies, the pan-Indian character, and the influence of these people. So we have accounts of Virji Vora in Surat, Shantidas Javeri from Ahmedabad, and the house of Jagat Seth in Bengal, which played a pivotal part in India's history. They financed the Mughal court. There were so many dissension and wars within the Mughals themselves, and the complicated history of Bengal with Sirajud-Dowlah, Mir Jafar, and there are some accounts of mistreatment of the Jagat Seth family. And in modern times, we know that in Antwerp, the Palanpur Jains of Gujarat control 60% of the diamond trade, so they have had a long legacy. Then I move on to some literary accounts. Banarsi Das Jaunpur Shrimal Jain merchant authored Ardh Kathanak, one of the earliest Indian autobiographies. So it is not your normal Jain text. It has some raunchy elements, but it also offers insights into trading practices, among other things. Then we move on to Premchand Roychand Jain, who is another very pivotal person in India's history, and he was responsible for the formation of the Native Stockbrokers Association in 1875, which morphed into the BSE, the first stock exchange in all of India. And Gautam Adani, we all know of Gautam Adani, who was briefly the richest man in the world. Then I move on to Srimad Rajchandra and Lala Lajpat Rai, who influenced two great strands of India's freedom struggle. M.K. Gandhi's conception of ahimsa, by his own admission, drew much inspiration from Srimad Rajchandra, and Lala Lajpat Rai, who is generally known as a Hindu nationalist in historiography terms and many academic accounts, was born in a Jain Agarwal family in the Punjab. And his conception of ahimsa, he has also, he had critiqued Gandhiji and the Jains themselves. There was a lot of correspondence. So Lala Lajpat Rai is also another fascinating thinker. Then we move on to Walchand Hiranchand, who is responsible for the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in Bengaluru, and Times of India, Sahu Jains are also very important. Ambalal Sarabhai, related to Vikram Sarabhai of ISRO. Ajit Jain of Berkshire Hathaway, who was Warren Buffett's favorite subordinate. Then Anshu Jain ji and H.T. Parekh, who was the founder of HDFC. Then I move on to the basic, very core tenet of Jainism, ahimsa, karma, and ethical trade. So J.C. Jain ji has mentioned that the active pursuit of wealth was considered honorable from ancient times, akin to a supreme moral duty. Generally, in many dharmic traditions, they think that wealth is something to be shunned, which is, I think, a modern understanding. There were many strands there. The Vasudeva Hindi mentions that one who enjoys himself at the same time can add to the wealth of forefathers is best, diminish his average, exhaust his worst. As businessmen, generally, Jains were more literate by the standards of the age. The 1880 was the first census in India, and it also mentions Jain community literacy was quite good, but the women were less literate at that time. Currently, women literacy among the Jains is also very high. So, as a practical way of life, Mahavratas are for the Munis and Arikas and Sadhavis in the Shvetambar tradition, and Anuvratas for Shravakas or the laity. And then I move on to Samanvay, between all the Indic faiths, generally religions termed in the modern context, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. So there is no prescriptive heaven, hell, Semitic one life binary concept, which essentially means in early Christianity had some faith in reincarnation, but for some historical sources say because of the purgatory concept, they outlawed reincarnation. But in a sense, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are known for their one life stark heaven, hell, whereas all the dharmic religions have a samsaric, cyclical, unending, anadi worldview. And an understressed aspect is Jainas, Buddhists, all the Vedic darshanas have imbued Indian knowledge systems with cognitive flexibility and dynamism. So this is basically jargon. What I'm trying to express here is exposure to so many ways of thought definitely enriched the ancient Indian intellect, which has percolated right down to the present day. And many practical businessmen will tell you it needs a shrewd assessment of situations and constant recalibration of relationship with volatile power centers. We can view many examples in the present day also. Governments keep changing, but businessmen donate to both sides. Then I move on to lived realities, the spirit of Kshatriyata, Shatra, and Vada. So on one side we are in Rajasthan. We have the great Bhamasha who donated all his wealth. Rana made the Rana into Maharana. We have Abhinandan Vardhaman. Dr. Pathuri also mentioned him some time back. We have the whole Balakot episode, and our Honorable Prime Minister and Foreign Minister applied pressure on Pakistan, and Imran Khan gave him up. Then even in the court of Ranjit Singh, we have accounts of many Jain merchants. They were widespread across the country because they have done a reputation for great ethics. Then we have the tale of Diwan Todarmal Jain, who very generously donated all his wealth to the Nawab of Sirhind when he was unwilling to give Guru Gobind Singh Ji's sons even place for burial. So Dr. Kapil Kapoor, past director of the Indian Institute of Advanced Study, always calls Guru Gobind Singh an example of a scholar warrior. So the noted scholar Shatabdhani R. Ganesh mourns that the loss of an assertive dharmic Shatra spirit was probably the reason for India's enslavement. So as per J.C. Jain, he has expressed, I think, a very practical view that Jaina ethics are meant for all positions. Do your duty as humanly as you can, and a king or a judge has to hang a murderer. It's not like contemporary liberal debate when you call midnight courts for hanging there is a lot of debate on what all people know as in a certain individual has done so many crimes against the state. So prejudiced and garbled accounts lead to misunderstanding. With emphasis on ahimsa and moderation in thought, word and deed, Jains encourage debate and respect for different opinion in the spirit of the Sanskrit proverb, Vade Vade Jayate Tattva Bodha. Then I move on to Anekantavad, pluralism and possibility. So the Andhagaja Nyaya, or the tale of the blind man and the elephant, it comes to us through many sources, Hindu, Buddhist and Jain. And what it basically says is that limited perspectives each with a kernel of truth. The only person, the omniscient Tirthankar knows all. We are limited beings bound by karma. So Melanie Barbato, European Western scholar, says that Jaina philosophy is a perspectivist realm. There are an infinite number of opinions, so they are not necessarily all true. I'll skip because many of you will know Syadavad, conditional predication, and the Saptabhangi Nyaya. And Mahavir Tirthankar also stressed that the good of the society and the individual are interrelated. You cannot just, I think there are different views. You can't just say asceticism. And the complexity of the global economy, the Jain view is very important as it is intuitive, rational, sensitive, and ecocentric. Then I move on to how we can, in my understanding, integrate tradition with modernity. Now, ahimsa, parigraha, and enikantavad, this noble triad can adapt ancient wisdom as a model for current ethical and dharmic capitalism. The Jain cultural DNA. Now, one of my Gujarati Jain friends said that if a Vedic Pandit is brought up chanting mantras for us as a trading community, since childhood, we have heard accounts of trading. So it sort of seeps into cultural DNA, and predating today's corporate and social responsibility, Jain merchant profits were geared towards spiritual and social philanthropy. So now it is more of an obsessional and materialist overkill, corporate jobs everywhere. So holistic collaborative approach is essential for the globe. And Jain practices of compassion, pratikrama, shamapan, I think samayik also is a daily practice. And so you are the author of your own destiny. You are entirely responsible for your own karma. And its profound cosmology with its view of samsara, which is common to all Indic religions, but the Utsarpani and the Avasarpani eras, and as Dr. Kamini ji also explained, the multiverse, which ties in with, say, current scientific understanding also. So there's a cyclical life view, activity, achievement, and contemplation, and so many business magnates give up all of their wealth and become monks. So that is a very unique facet in all. Now I move on to self-interest to collective ethics. So basically modern economics, and even if we, everybody understands that the modern economy is based on the Western worldview, and Adam Smith, who in economics jargon is sometimes referred to as the father of economics. So his idea of self-interest, the invisible hand, and perfect competition was basically the bedrock on which further economic thought and theories came in England also, and America also. Milton Friedman, John Maynard Keynes, and Fabian socialism, which Jawaharlal Nehru ji adopted. And in contrast, the philosophical underpinnings of Sanatan Bharatiya civilization, including Jain philosophy, offer a rich tapestry of insight into human behavior, market dynamics, pursuit of holistic well-being, fostering ethical capitalism. So it's a more humane worldview, which in my understanding can be better for the planet. So reimagining capitalism, here I basically said the capitalism cake is inherently unequal, which was the basis of the Marxist counter-reaction. And Keynes, Friedman, Stiglitz, I have already mentioned. So in the dharmic worldview, this insatiable consumption, competition, institutional intervention, the efficiency resources, this unbridled pursuit of desires, as Dr. Priyadarshana ji was also saying, that we have so many material inputs, it only feeds an incessant karmic cycle. In contrast, Indic thought, like the profound philosopher poet Rabindranath Tagore ji also said, the individual and the universal, a harmony is one of the core precepts of Indic thought and India's contribution to the world. So contentment, karma, debt, interconnectedness of all life, we all know are core Jainic precepts and the centrality of karma in Jainism, the Asra, Bandh, Samvar, Nirjara, which Muniji explained elaborately. So what I mean to say is gradually eradicating karmic accumulation, material needs, they cannot be erased completely. Practically, we all know this. So they need to be viewed as constraints rather than economic drivers. So market philosophy, which values balance without monopolies, oligopolies, and leads to long-term sustenance. So renunciation to more holistic riches, which in some Jain texts is referred to as Nyaya Sampan Vaibhav. And moving on, we have all heard over the last year the rise of AI. So in technological terms, we are the tech big entrepreneurs in the world want to move to artificial general intelligence, which actually questions the very basis of consciousness itself. If we move to that level very fast, like OpenAI has even released Sora, which generates videos just on the basis of a word. So technology is actually moving very fast. So Bharatiya darshanas have profoundly influenced the modern technological world from zero to infinity, whether they like to admit it or not. There are many academic references and proof of this. Wealth from India funded the Industrial Revolution. Nadoja S.R. Ramaswamyji's book also elaborately explains this. Linguistics, Boolean algebra, algorithmic thought, and inspiration from Panini. I'm not saying modern science is a Western construct, but it has been influenced to a large extent by the profundity of India's thought. Erwin Schrödinger admitted influence of Vedanta, the Atma, Paramatma. He is explicitly mentioned in this as in the Shankarite understanding of the superposition of the Atman and the Paramatman as influencing his conception of quantum superposition. Now, quantum superposition may sound very theoretical and abstract, but it is the basis of all modern electronics and computing. And we are moving on to research in quantum computing. I met a scholar recently. He heads the Indian mission for quantum computing. And India is also investing in a quantum computer. So Heisenberg and multiple scientific thinkers have admitted to the depth and influence of Bharat's Darshana discourse. There's a recent Cambridge research paper which mentioned planetary intelligence, which ties in with the Jain concept of one ek indriya, dvindriya, and all respect for all biological life forms. So Anekantavad of Jain metaphysics can, applied properly, can lead to a refinement of scientific and business thought. World where attempts are being made to transform, alter consciousness itself, Jain values can help stem a soulless, nihilistic tide. And then any skeptic will say that this can be impractical. So I've explored boundaries of dharmic capitalism. So this offers a compelling alternative to conventional capitalist paradigms. And like in any philosophical or economic model, it faces many limitations. Some limitations are scalability and global supply chains, and economic incentives, and a regulatory framework which is not designed to accommodate ethical and moral dimensions of dharmic capitalism. So finally, moving on to solution. Solutions is education and awareness, innovative business models which need more refinement thinking. We have social enterprises, benefit corporations in America, which we have a few benefit corporations in India also. And like Indic, we should have more corporations which are based on research into dharmic values. So demonstrate viability, competitiveness, businesses adhering to dharmic ideas globally, global ethical standards, advocacy for incorporation of dharmic principles, and ethical investment and consumption, promote technological innovation. All our Indic thinkers have never said shun everything. They have encouraged all strands of thought, and innovations like there is lab-grown meat for people who are accustomed to all of that. So such things align with dharmic capitalism. So my final slide is conclusions is like while Jain dharmic capitalism presents numerous challenges, it offers a foundational basis for an ethical, sustainable and truly equitable economic system. It addresses, its limitations can be addressed through innovative business models, promoting ethical investment and consumption, global ethical standards. It needs education and leveraging technological innovation. It needs a profound paradigm shift, a way of viewing the world, viewing success primarily in terms of economic growth to valuing ethical practices. Current challenges, we all know there are multiple challenges. There's climate change, there's inequality, we have an ongoing Russia-Ukraine war for the last 2 years, then we have Israel-Hamas, we have multiple issues which keep on changing and pose challenges to the world, and Indian and global scenario is increasingly receptive to models which promote sustainability and ethics. This can serve as a beacon or a catalyst for similar philosophical and economic models adoption. The journey is gradual. It requires innovation, adaptation, collaboration, sustained thought, and we can envision a future where economic systems boosting ethical values and sustainability along with prosperity aligned with profound Jain wisdom. So thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very rich, learned and erudite paper. Any questions?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Okay, Sunil ji, thank you very much for an extraordinary presentation. At large, I can recall two things at first. You have mentioned at first Catholic purgatory concept, but the way you have handled the whole issue, it actually provokes me to think of a very important and interesting book of Max Weber, Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. And this is the University of Heidelberg, where I spent a couple of years, and the place where Max Weber used to teach, I was a student over there. And you know that in this important book, he raised a question whether the Protestant motivation to accumulate capital was for charity or not. Because according to Calvinist ideology, that people should accumulate property in order to sustain development, but not for the sake of their consumption. I mean, consumption should be given in a limited way, and the Marxists actually developed the ideology from this connotation that the consumption should be as much as they need. And you know that the communist ideology is basically an extension of Judaism, I mean Abrahamic religion. Yeah. In New Testament, in the particular chapter of Acts, we know that after the ascension of heaven of Jesus Christ, the apostles once upon a time formed a socialistic formation where they had no any private property. So the way you have talked today, are you actually trying to suggest that sort of capitalism for the sustainable development of the society? I mean, just this is the question.
A few years ago, at the School of Oriental and African Studies in London, I attended a talk by Romila Thapar for the 100th anniversary of precisely Max Weber's book. And so she, strongly assented to Max Weber's suggestion that, in fact, in Jainism, you have something similar. So you make money as much as you can, and then you're not spending it, you're not enjoying it, so you can reinvest it, and that's the secret of their success.
Right. You mentioned that, sir, during the online meet with Dr. Nagraj. So I watched the entire video of Romila ji's, and she offers a very sympathetic critique of Max Weber, and but she then again harps back on the Marxist ideology of class struggle and how Brahminical and Shamanical traditions were in conflict in India. So, and addressing Naushadji's question, I think what Marx was a Jew, and the biblical examples you give, I don't think they are in adherence with what Max, in my personal opinion, Max Weber thought was largely Eurocentric. So the Catholic versus Protestant dichotomy is actually foisted on the rest of the world. So Indic traditions are a world apart. We are all human. We have commonalities, but there are many differences. So Max Weber or Mueller never actually came to India. I can theorize sitting here about America. Now in the modern world, we have access to so much information. In those times, I'm not saying all of these were learned scholars and gentlemen, but they were not in consonance with the lived realities of India. So I don't think their theories or ideas can be just applied wholesale to India. Like in MBA colleges in India, what exactly is taught? We are just aping American MBA models and producing copycats. So just like, I think there's a famous book, Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. So you just stay foolish, stay hungry. Whereas the Indic perspective is more contentment. Ultimate aim of life is if your worldview incorporates contentment, Narayan is always being served by Lakshmi. So Narayan is stationary and the Vishnu Tattva pervades the world. And even in Jain and Buddhist thought, I think Indic thought offers very rich alternatives. So that is basically what I wanted to say. The dharmic capitalism model, it needs a lot of tweaking, ideas, research, and it can be then offered as an alternative to the world. Like we have International Yoga Day, but what is that? It is yoga bereft of any dharmic symbolism. Modi ji has achieved, it's a great achievement, but it's stripped of all of its Indic references. So if we offer the world something which is more imbued with Indic thought, more richer, it is matches in complexity to, I'm not deriding the West, we have learnt a lot from the West and their achievements have guided the world. So in the best editions of Indic thought, we should offer a better alternative incorporating current concerns. That is just my contention. Thank you.